Hey folks, everything you want in the sun. Here's the latest update from Ukraine, and I'm going to call it now. This is World War III, and I mean that by the definition of the words. The world is involved in this, and NATO members, even several NATO nations and members are directly involved in this. It is now fair game, effectively, for Russia to strike out at NATO members. And there was an article about the banking system specifically, and the banks were warned of cyber attacks because of all the financial sanctions on Russia. The banking system, which gets cyber attacks all the time, in a sort of a peaceful scenario, regardless, just regular hackers, now got to kind of batten down the hatches and get ready for significant state-sponsored cyber attacks. On top of that, we have a lot of money now getting ready to go to Ukraine. Significant hardware, too. I've reported on missiles, Stinger missiles, guns, obviously ammunition. Now there's aircraft and troops even going. So let's take a look at this. EU provides $500 million to buy arms for Ukraine. Turkey's getting in the game. They're readying for the closure of the straits to the Russian Navy. So Turkey has the strait between, I think it's the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, and that really limits Russia's movement. They've got troops and equipment and ships in the Mediterranean. Now, if they need them up near Russia or Ukraine, they may not be able to get them there if Turkey doesn't let them through. Likewise, if they want to get troops down to the Mediterranean or out to sea, they may not be able to because Turkey now. This brings Turkey into the battle. And before, Turkey and Russia were generally on the same side in a lot of ways, certainly in Syria. Well, there's now EU-wide consensus on supplying Ukraine with arms, and amid reports that large columns of ground troops are now moving into in closer to Kiev. I think it's like 5 kilometer long or something like that. Ground troops, troop carriers, tanks, various things moving. European member states agreed to unblock 450 million euros or 500 million US for member states to buy arms for Ukraine and to funnel those to Kiev. Now, and other troops. I don't know how Kiev is going to get anything. They are surrounded on all sides at this point by Russia, but they are buying and getting weapons in there. It says jaw-dropping. This is a tweet here. Borrell says EU military package may include supplying fighter jets. I don't even know where they're going to put those because Russia has destroyed a lot of the airports. This means they will have to take off and land from neighboring NATO nation airports, potentially. Again, bringing NATO into the battle, bringing other nations in. This is going to put Putin even further into a corner. I think he wanted to be done with Kiev and Ukraine as a whole already, and it's really slowed down. I think this has been a lot harder than he expected, and he is getting a lot of pushback from NATO nations now, as well as this drags on day after day. And every day it does drag on, the more likelihood that more nations will get on board with more significant military assistance, which really makes this a World War III effectively. It says the EU has spoken with Ukrainian foreign minister about types of jets the Ukrainian military needs, and there are member states able to supply them. So member states of the EU, many of which, maybe they're all NATO, maybe not all NATO, I'm not sure. No, they can't. They must not all be NATO because Finland and such are not NATO yet, but part of the EU. And they are ready and willing to supply arms and even aircraft. That is a big development. Let's go down and look at this here. Let's see. So this is what I was talking about in Turkey. For the first time, Turkey signaled it's ready to block the Russian naval access to the Black Sea. Now they can't get out of the Black Sea and they can't get into the Black Sea from the Mediterranean. This is a big deal. This, like I say, it puts Putin into a corner, really locks him down. And his forces are separated. The whole idea of divide and conquer. This is now happening with his military ships if he needs backup. Turkey's foreign minister said that the situation in Ukraine had become a war, a legal distinction that paves the way for Ankara to potentially ban Russian warships from entering the Black Sea through the strategic checkpoint. It goes on here. We came to the conclusion that the Ukraine situation has transformed into war. We will implement the Articles of Montreux transparently. So that's a big deal. Here's another tweet. Interesting comment. Anyone who covered and reported on Russia's intervention in Syria knows they are holding back in Ukraine. So something's holding them back. They're not going all out with missiles, etc. I think because they don't want civilian damage. They know if there's a lot of civilian casualties, that will bring the wrath of the world upon them. So they're not interested in that. They thought they would kind of roll into Kiev, but Kiev is putting up quite a fight, significant resistance. Like I say, every minute, every hour that Kiev resists is another minute or hour that nations around the world look at this, their parliaments talk, their governments talk, and they start getting on board with delivering military equipment. Even Germany has said in its parliament that it's going to increase military spending because now it sees the threat from Russia, and it's not going to stand idly by. It also, of course, is supplying military equipment, arms, ammunition to Ukraine now. Now, in terms of troops going in there, look at this. This is another tweet here. Meanwhile, things may be covertly ratcheting up. So you talk about Russian mercenaries. Western support for Ukrainian insurgency against the Russian advance and presence in Ukraine. A new group of 10 Special Operations Forces veterans are staging in Poland, preparing to cross into the Ukraine, where they plan to take up Zelensky on his offer to join a new foreign military unit. Basically, he's getting mercenaries, foreign mercenaries, to come and battle with him. And I guess veterans of these special forces units are getting together and doing this. These are highly skilled veterans that are driven and I guess are ready to do what they need to do, whether it's train Ukrainian soldiers or take it to the Russians directly. This again is another huge advancement toward world war, and I think this is where we're at. If these are American special forces folks, again, Russia is going to be able to say there's Americans here, or foreign troops. Now that the nation they come with are fair game for our weapons, and so their nuclear deterrence forces are on high alert. And I think this is why they know all this stuff before we know it. So this is actually a team of American and British Special Forces veterans, it says. There's troop carriers headed for Ukraine. I think this is backup. Again, I think this would have been here earlier if Putin thought that that he would have trouble in Ukraine, in Kiev. But now that it's going a bit slower, there's 11 Russian troop transport ships inbound to Odessa, the port city in Ukraine there. Each ship contains 1 battalion. I don't know how many people are in a battalion. You can let me know in the comments, but I assume that's a lot of people if one ship is just 1 battalion. And they're going to attempt to land those ships. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of resistance to those specifically, as Ukrainians are fighting simply to save the cities at this point. So this is a big deal. The last and final thing, a significant thing, U.S. Embassy in Moscow says U.S. citizens should consider departing Russia immediately. Is that because there's going to be a declaration of all-out war? I don't know why they didn't call us earlier, to be honest with you. They knew the EU was going to lock down airspace. I assume they knew. But there you go. They're now saying U.S. citizens get out of Russia immediately, basically while you still can, if any planes are going now. Of course, the airspace is all shut down from Russian flights in and out of Russia. And Russian flights can't fly over the EU states. So this is quite a big thing, a step forward towards World War III. And there are enough countries basically involved in it physically or logically, logistically, or in terms of sending weapons munitions, etc., even to the extent of aircraft into Ukraine, that I think you'd have to agree this is effectively World War III, and I think it will be basically considered as such since it's massive. It's on a worldwide scale. It's the biggest since World War II, and this doesn't, I don't know if this gets better. This could go downhill real quick if someone makes a wrong move, or if Putin says, you know what, I can't. I've got nothing to lose here, and lets his hypersonic missiles go. Or something like that, and then it's effectively all-out war. Remember, I kind of, again, I look at the timeline of the return of the Lord, and I say, you know what? This battle isn't a specific battle in the Bible, and John Haller mentioned that again today in his sermon today. I do think it sets the stage. I think we have to get to the brink of World War III, and then maybe a world leader steps in and says, peace, peace, everybody, and brings peace to the world, although it's going to be a false peace, and the period of time it's going to be for initially is 7 years. But I think there's some significant upheaval, significant war happening, battles, conflicts, regional, that are going to happen before the whole world is ready to accept a world government, a world leader, and a new world currency. So it has to get a lot worse, I think, before we're ready to all accept that as citizens of the world. If you're not Christian, you don't know what's coming. So that's why I say I don't know if this will turn directly into World War III, but I think some big shock and awe things need to happen if we are at that point in Bible prophecy where that world leader does step in, because everybody's going to have to be desperate and ready for peace at that point in time. So that's what I see, and all I see now is nations getting on board, and at this point I don't know how it can't break out into something bigger. I don't think Russia or Putin is all of a sudden going to say, oh, that's it, we made peace, we're going to back off now. I don't see that happening. With all the munitions, I think he's going to dig in further. I think this is going to anger him for all these countries to be feeding the Ukrainians with weapons, which maybe he didn't see that coming. I don't know why, but certainly he seems to be delayed in taking over Kiev, and I don't think he expected it to take that long. But the next couple of days, 24 hours is going to be incredible as the troops converge on Kiev. Will aircraft get there fast enough? Will these special operations military veterans get there? Will they be able to do anything in response to this? So we'll see. I'll try and keep you updated, but keep following it. Bible prophecy is being fulfilled before our eyes. The stage is being set. We need to be looking up for the return of our Lord, but I think things are going to get a lot harder in this world, even before that happens. So just keep your eyes open, keep your ear to the ground, and watch a wide variety of news sources. Not CNN, not Fox News. Go to TASS, Russian news agency. Go to RT. Go to jpost.com. Go to Debka Files. Go to the BBC. Go to Press IR, presstv.ir, which is Iranians' news website. Go to all these sources, look at the information, put it together. The truth is probably somewhere in between all of those, and that will probably give you the best indication of what's happening on the ground. And Twitter is a good place as well if you can stomach the videos that are streaming out of Ukraine for kind of the real life carnage that's happening, and it is carnage. I saw a video today with burnt out shells of vehicles and even people dead in the streets effectively. And so there's all sorts of videos out there if that's something you're looking for to look at what's actually happening on the ground. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll leave it there. I'll be talking to you tomorrow. We'll see you in the next video.